Hello all, I want to tell a story today that ties into the police theme for this video. I was servicing a vehicle the other day for a AAA member. He came out and he had a cane. Of course, he obviously had a hard time walking. He had a conversion van, one of those where the sliding door opens up and the ramp comes out. You can drive the wheelchair in there. As I was working on the vehicle, he was telling me his story. He used to be a police officer here in Phoenix, and back in the early 90s, he was shot by some gangbanger in downtown Phoenix in the middle of the night. His partner got away with minor injuries, but he was shot in the throat and the neck and suffered debilitating, nearly fatal injuries. Kind of got me thinking about how this would be taken today. Back then, it was a story of valor, a story of survival. It was in the newspaper. He was a hero. I can only imagine today that if this exact same thing happened, we'd see tweets and messages about how he deserved it, or he should have taken another shot, he should have got the partner, how we'd have to understand the criminal and the plight that he went through and why he was in that situation. Kind of also got me thinking too, what led to the mainstream animus towards the police today? I can trace it back to the second term of the Obama-Bin Biden administration. When he was running back in 2008, he said, "To join me while I fundamentally transform this country." And he also said we needed a civilian police force as equally well-funded and as equally as powerful as the military. And no one ever questioned it. No one ever called him on it. It was very cryptic language. Just let him skate on through. Fast forward to 2014, we had the Ferguson Incident, which, of course, some thug robbed a convenience store and when apprehended by the police, attacked the police officer, got shot, and that's where the phony hands up, don't shoot narrative got started. That's when BLM and Antifa were on the march, and of course, they burned their cities. And of course, it was all justified, and it became a whole narrative. The DOJ and the FBI did an investigation, and of course, the cop was acquitted. Obama himself said it was a good thing that he was let off, that it was the right call, but of course, he was speaking at a black college not too long after that, saying that, well, they're a bunch of racists anyway, and this was going to happen regardless. So, stoking the fires there, of course. I was surfing the channels the other day and came across a movie I'd never seen called Let's Be Cops. It's about two guys that become police officers essentially to be cool and to pick up women. This was in 2014, about the same time before a lot of this happened. I couldn't imagine that movie being made now because you certainly wouldn't want to be a police officer to be cool. You'd probably get attacked nowadays. Fast forward to 2016 when in Dallas, a BLM activist or sympathizer shot and killed 5 police officers. And the Dallas Cowboys, my team at the time, wanted to wear a sticker on their helmet for the season to commemorate that. NFL wouldn't allow it. They said it was too sensitive, too insightful. I imagine in the 90s that would have been okay, just more animus towards the police. A lot of this went latent for a while. Once the agitator-in-chief left office back in 2017, a lot of the hate for police kind of went away. Things were a few stories here and there, but nothing real big, of course, until the lockdowns happened, tensions went up, and then, of course, the George Floyd incident, which then led to the Atlanta incident, and then, of course, the Jacob Blake incident. All those situations, the cops were scrutinized and demonized, and, of course, the criminals were canonized. You can make the argument for George Floyd that the cops could have done some things differently, but in the end, he died of a fentanyl overdose, so it's kind of hard to pin it all on him. Of course, in Atlanta, his name escapes me at the time. I can't remember the name of the guy, but he took the police's taser and tried to shoot him with it. Even though he was running, it's still a weapon, so of course he got his. And the Wendy's that had happened was burned down, and they all considered that justice. The Jacob Blake incident, of course, you have a guy who was accused of sexual assault that was violating a restraining order, that fought with the police, that got tased by the police, and that didn't work. Was going for a knife and ended up getting shot. So, again, I don't see any problem with that. The cops did their job. And, of course, since then, we've had the calls to defund the police, which, you always hear that doesn't mean what you think it means. It means more smart community solutions and other shit like that, which basically means sending an unarmed 50-year-old, 5-foot-tall, 100-pound woman out into a situation to counsel somebody. Of course, that wouldn't work. New York defunded $1 billion out of $6 billion for their police fund. And of course, AOC threw a fit saying, if you're going to defund, just defund. So obviously she wants it all. Obviously it does mean what we think it means. Minneapolis, they did the same thing. This is where the George Floyd incident happened. And it's kind of funny, of course, the spike in crime afterward, the same council members were calling the police when they had rioters at their house. So they kind of got their just desserts there. In Atlanta, a lot of the cops they called it the blue flu when they were calling out. And of course, that left it pretty vulnerable for riot at the time. In Seattle, they've had the same incident, of course, with Chop Chaz, whatever you want to call it. You have a governor and a mayor that didn't do anything about it. They just let it run amok. And, of course, they've had their defund calls as well. In Seattle, they're now talking about essentially legalizing all crime, all misdemeanors, if your income is below a certain level, which that's not going to make things worse. My message to these politicians in these cities is to put your money where your mouth is. Just do it. Accept the consequences. You obviously seem to know better. Just do it. I won't feel sorry for the citizens because they voted for it. They continue to vote for it. They seem to wonder why their cities suck because they're leaving the state, they're leaving the city, and you got a lot of these leaders begging them to come back because they want the tax revenue. The way I see it, police are fallible human beings. They're not immune to scrutiny, but they have to deal with the scum of the earth. They have to make split-second decisions, and their lives are on the line. They should be given every benefit of the doubt.